creating cultural awareness and understanding. This is Culture Clique. Culture Clique is written and produced by KQAL FM on the campus of Winona State University.
Today on Culture Clique, we are joined by former KQAL program coordinator Teri Tenseth to talk about her latest venture, the Mother Loaf. The Mother Loaf isn't just about tasty home-baked bread. It's baking for a cause. It's an opportunity for Teri to give back to the community by helping others. The slogan on the Mother Loaf's website is, "Take me to your kneader." Well, we have the Mother Loaf's kneader and leader with us today. I'm Bill Stoneberg. Stick around as we talk bread with Teri Tenseth on Culture Clique.
Well, welcome.
Thanks. It's been a while.
Did you miss me, Winona?
Winona, you probably have missed her. Today on Culture Clique, we have Miss Teri. Well, you went by Teri Tenseth on the air, right?
The iteration, right?
Yeah.
Was like way better, if I'm saying that word
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah. With the T's and
the TT.
Yeah.
Well, it's Teri Market, legally.
Right. Is it Market or Market Tenseth? Do you guys have it hyphenated?
No, we don't have it hyphenated. The legal name is Market.
Okay, cool.
It's just everybody knows me as.
Right. So it's like you have like almost like a stage name or a pen name, really.
Kinda.
An on-air name, I guess you'd call it, right?
Yeah.
You know, so
even on Instagram, I was like hesitant to like just go full-blown Teri Market.
Yeah,
You know? And I was like, screw it.
Just keep
I'll
using
figure
the
it out.
right.
Figure
It's
it
almost it's kind of fun. It's like a character almost, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
For sure.
A real life character. I live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That's right, folks. When we go to commercials, she still exists. It's Miss Teri Tenseth. Well, Miss or Mrs. Market.
Mrs. Market,
You know, depending on if we're talking radio or your social media.
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? But anyway, we're here to talk about your new endeavor. Well, it's not really new anymore, is it? Or kind of...
Yeah, I mean, in May I started baking for donations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's called the Mother Loaf.
Right.
And you bake for donations for like charity, right? Basically. Yeah. And I mean, how did this idea start? So May, you said?
Well, so like I took a class, a sourdough class from Britta McCole, who runs Castle Rock Sourdough in Fountain City. Mm-hmm. Right? Like she built a commercial bakery off the side of her house and was offering classes. And I'm a person that when something frustrates me, I'm going to do it again until like I correct the process. And, you know?
Nice.
So I had so many questions for her and I felt like I was bombarding her, but she was so excited to talk about sourdough. That she answered all my questions. She's like, would you like to come to the bakery and help me? So I've been kind of mentoring underneath her.
Nice. Oh,
right?
cool.
So,
like a baker apprentice.
Pretty much.
I love it.
So like on Wednesdays, I'll go early and I'll help her cut loaves. Like you have to weigh and measure them out, you know, because she's monitoring, you know, making sure things are dispersed correctly. You can do your calculations for business better that way. And
Okay,
what you need,
sure.
right?
Yep.
And then we'll form the loaves and get them ready for final proofing, and then she'll bake them that night. So I mean, we'll crank out. It's over 100 while I'm there, or so. Just you know, different dough types, and we're working with them. And I've learned a lot from her. I've also learned that like different countertop surfaces. She works with stainless steel. I have a marble countertop at home, a little mobile one, you know, and it's different.
Right. Oh,
and dough
interesting.
consisting is different. And you're like, why is this not folding right?
Oh, I never would have thought about that.
Yeah, because temperature is different on different surfaces. Too.
So then it changes that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was fun.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I've worked at two bakeries. And so I know very little, but a little bit, you know. But that never occurred to me. We always had the tables with the wood with the butcher block.
Oh, that's great if you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would prefer to work on that, but it's different. Like how much flour am I going to have to put down for this? And like her doughs are different than my doughs. You know what I mean? Like I have different mixes.
Okay.
She bakes consistently, pretty much. It used to be cardamom raisin and it's cinnamon raisin because cardamom became really expensive during like COVID. And then she'll do jalapeno cheddar, which is great. And then she'll do French country bread, which is a white, and a rye, and a 7 grain. So she has these core things that she knows are going to sell, right? I'm baking for donations, so people are at the whim of what I'm going to bake.
Cool. You can kind of get out there.
I get out there and I experiment. I've had some real failures, but then again, I just keep trying again and again and again. I've ended up creating a lot of original recipes or like hack jobs of other recipes and modifying them, you know, to make them work for me. There's some people out there on the interwebs, so to speak, or on social media that are just, they blow me away. with what they're making.
With their bread?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, it's just, like they're how they're able to score a loaf, meaning put the design in there. You know what I mean? They call it bread scoring.
Right. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but it's funny. Like, oh, I scored a loaf last night.
Yeah.
You know,
I scored 8 loaves over the weekend. It was busy.
What'd you do over the weekend?
Scored
a few loaves. You know,
drop some loaves off.
I dropped a loaf.
You know, like
it's that's a cool thing though too. It's a cool name, the Mother Loaf. I like that, and it's the need to feed.
Yeah,
I like that. Like needing bread.
Well, like the need to feed is one thing, and then John and I, my husband was like, well, we need something else, and we need a cool logo. And I worked with Jose here in town, and he runs his own creative business. Pelez Creative is what it's called.
Okay.
And he helped me with the logo, and John wanted a sci-fi approach. He kept giving me sci-fi names over and over again. And I'm like, listen, if you got to put up with this every weekend with me doing this, or dang near every weekend, and the house is covered in flour, I was like, okay, I'll take your input. And he's like, make it take me to your kneader, and let's turn the loaf into a spaceship. And I'm like, hold on, Jose, I'm going to have to ask you to change this logo again. Now I need somebody beamed up to a bread loaf. And it needs to say, take me to your kneader. But it's feeding a need in Winona, Right, but
right. Well, speaking of which, maybe we should tell people kind of exactly what it is. Like, how does the Mother Loaf work? Like,
it works when I want to. No. What I do is I basically... I'll bake, and this is how it started off. I was baking bread, and my neighbor, I was just giving him the extra loaves because I was kept experimenting and pumping them out. And he's like, you need money for this. So he'd slide me some money each time for homemade bread because his mother used to make homemade bread. And he's like, I know this is a pain in the butt.
Right.
So I just started collecting the money in a jar, and John said, when we get to $100, let's go drop it off at the food shelf.
Nice.
And so I did that. And then people kind of caught wind of what I was posting on Instagram and on Facebook. And they're like, well, how much? And I said, it's for a cause. I don't have a legal business, right? So it's kind of like a virtual bake sale in a way. Wow. So what I would say is free will donation, and I'll just keep collecting money, and I'll just keep giving it to the food shelf,
Nice. Oh, cool.
And then what happened was Tyler Carter, who runs what's called the Wire Monkey Shop on Instagram, he makes these holders for the razor blades. Okay, so some call it a lame or a lame, and it holds the razor blades so you don't end up slicing your hands to death while you're cutting in. You can hold the blade at an angle to cut in the designs. He sent me $500 from a fund he has called Bakers in Need, KNEAD, that he started, which is he's turning it into a nonprofit. He's helping bakers who have gone out of business or are in danger of losing their rent or their homes and giving them money so they can continue, doing what they need to do and run a business.
Oh, wow.
So he gave me $500 from that. And in the first month, within from May 24th to June 24th, I raised $1,000 or something with his help, for our local food shelf.
Right.
Right.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So he really helped me spear that on. So shout out to Tyler for doing that, because it kind of gave me the encouragement to keep doing it is what it did. Right. And then, the money just kept coming in from people, and I had some people give me $50 for a loaf or $60 for a loaf.
Wow.
Dang. And then I said to my husband, I was like, doing this with one oven, because I can only bake one loaf at a time. I was like, this is getting to be a problem.
Right. Wait a minute. Okay, so I just want to pause for a second. So you started this in May. You're baking one loaf at a time. So I'm guessing that oven's on a lot.
Yeah, because you have to preheat the Dutch oven inside of it to 500 degrees for about 45 minutes, and then you put the lid on for another 15, and you have a baking stone underneath that Dutch oven for the best results.
You are blowing my mind right now.
So it costs us about $100 a month to run the ovens if I'm baking for 2 weekends. So we had to put in another oven. So
I do have another one.
I was trolling stuff for sale.
What about
on
the
Facebook
heat?
for
So
that.
you've been baking all summer.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people have been baking all summer. It's hot, but Wow.
Yeah, and you have to control the temperature, otherwise, like, that'll affect fermentation and the rise of the loaves. If I'm mixing at the same time, I've got the oven on.
Right. So
yeah.
that'll affect the rest of the house. Oh,
For people that don't know, I use natural yeast, so I'm baking sourdough, right?
Okay.
And it's temperature sensitive,
right?
Is what
it
is.
is.
So you want a consistent temperature. Wild yeast is just water and flour, and you build natural yeast with that over a period of 12 to 14 days, and then you have a starter, but you have to feed that starter. Some people only do it once a day. You really want to be doing it like every 12 hours. It's kind of like a pet.
Wow. Oh, that's... I never realized it was so involved like that.
So when people are like, hey, can you just bang out a loaf? I'm like, no, I can't.
How many times have I heard that before?
Right. It's an 18 to 24-hour process for me to make a loaf.
For one loaf?
Yeah. Wow. So what I'll do is I'll batch make. I'll mix a bunch of dough and like do the math for 5 or 6 loaves.
Right.
And then I'll either countertop proof them. Countertop proof can be anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, or I'll do a cold proof for 12 to 18 hours in the fridge.
Oh, okay.
And then bake it.
So do you have a special fridge set aside then for all the loaves?
Yeah, we have a smaller one, but we have our big one too. So, I actually bought a large proofer for if this gets any bigger. You know what I mean? But I can only do 2 loaves at a time, really, because of how big they get, and I want people to get a good size loaf.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So, all right. So I also heard you say Dutch oven in there. So you're making these in a Dutch oven inside the oven?
Yeah. It creates a steam environment for the bread to rise. So
I've got a Dutch oven at home, and I absolutely love it. Like we were talking earlier, and I said I'm really into outdoor cooking.
Oh, you make chili and stew in that?
Oh, yeah, fantastic. I want to attempt cornbread very soon, and there's some dessert things and baking things.
You can make a sourdough cornbread.
We're going to have to talk about baking some more.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give you some starter.
Some personal tips,
And you can start feeding that thing twice a day.
So what exactly, like I said, even though I've worked in a bakery before, I'm very ignorant about how baking works.
It's a science, I think.
Right. So what is it, when you say starter, what does that mean?
That just means wild yeast is what it is. So literally it's flour and water. Some people have starters that they are called 100%, and some are different percentages of flour to water. I use 100%. So like if I have my starter, right? At night I'm going to have to dump out, and in the morning 50 to 80% of it. And then I'm going to feed it equal amounts of flour and water, and then it'll double and triple in volume.
Oh, wow.
It'll rise back up.
Okay.
At the time it's around peaking is when I can go ahead and use it in water, mix it with water, and then add to the rest of the flour and make a dough, because that thing that makes it rise, the natural yeast, right?
Okay, right.
Is your yeast that makes the bread, rise.
And fluffy.
And people will be like, hey, how come my bread didn't come out right? Well, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the starter wasn't primed or ready for it to work correctly, or your add-ins, or temperature, or like one time John opened up a window in the house and things went south real quick. You know what I mean? Like while I was mixing.
Sudden change in temperature.
Yeah.
So do you have like a separate room that you do everything in? Or?
No, we have a kitchen that is offset of a dining room. So not really, you know what I mean? But it's like an area where it's clean and sanitized. My husband used to work in food service, so so he's kind of militant about the cleanliness and sanitization of the surfaces.
That helps out, right?
And he's like, make sure you wash all the way up to your elbows. And first, this is your bucket for the soap water, and when that dries, here's your bucket for the bleach water, and this is what I want you to do. And I'm like, all right.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. So it's kind of been a team effort then, huh?
It is. And he's my electrician, so when something's not working with the ovens, he made the 2 oven thing work out.
Cool.
Legally in the house with wiring. Right. It's all legally, the point.
Remember that.
Who else would be like, okay, this hobby, is all right. Some people would probably be like, honey, 2 ovens?
2 ovens, yeah. It's July. Come on, babe.
But, but the fact that the supplies don't cost that much, I can go, because we have Bay State Milling in town. That's where I get my flour from.
Okay, cool.
Sometimes Great River Milling, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Bay State Milling. It primarily has been, except if there's a specialty flour or something I need. And I can go to Z-Bells And I can buy a 50-pound bag of flour for $14.22.
Okay.
And then I have food-grade containers that I keep them in.
Ah, there you go.
Is what I do. So, I mean, I've been able to save money on flour pretty well. And, you know, I've had extra people say, here's money for supplies. So I have a jar of just, you know, money where people have been like, buy yourself a bag of flour.
Oh, cool.
Or what have you. And so I'm trying to keep this as local as possible at the same time. So, like, if Watkins wanted to slide me some cinnamon.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, if anyone's from Watkins listening, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because, you know, I make a cinnamon raisin too, you know.
Right. Oh, well, that's great because it's like a community effort then. Because, like, you're donating to Winona Volunteer Services and helping charities. And then it sounds like people are donating to you to help keep this going. And help
once
it
in a
grow.
while, people slide me a little bit extra.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Like, you know, my mom will be, you know, I used to get phone calls like, when are you just going to sell for yourself?
Oh, wow.
I was like, what do you mean, Mom? I was like, it's COVID. You know?
It's COVID. I'm making sourdough.
You know? I'm doing the traditional, you know, pandemic baking here.
Right.
You know, let it do some kind of good. But, you know, the true mother is like, when are you going to make something?
Right. When are you going to get a real job? What's wrong with your hair? Does she ever say that?
No, she actually is okay with the pink.
She loves it?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, she does.
It's a cool color.
It makes it easier for John to find me in the grocery store, the face mask situation.
Good point.
You know what I mean?
point,
Like, people
yeah.
see me and go, that's Teri.
Right. Oh.
So the food shelf was doing pretty good, and they've kept up. Nobody's gone away hungry.
Nice.
Which has been really great.
Yeah.
Like, they've been doing well. Cool. I do get concerned because some of the major fundraisers were not able to happen this year due to COVID. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that 10 Days of Giving is going going to be solid.
Yeah,
you know, because we're going to hit flu season, and people might not be going out as much, and they might start doing the hoarding thing again.
Right,
so
right.
My concern is making sure that nobody goes away hungry.
Yeah.
Because there's no excuse for that. There's enough rich ways. How do I want to say it? There's enough money in this town to be able to help everybody else out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think nationwide, typically, there is as well too. Mm-hmm. So once this food shelf started doing well, I started calling up other places and being like, "How are you doing?" Mm-hmm. You know? Right. And I contacted Jennifer Weaver over at the History Center, and she said, "We're okay." And I'm like, "Okay, all right." So, you know, like, obviously the foot traffic.
Yeah, it's gone down everywhere.
Right, but they're doing well, you know. But when I worked here, they helped us out with the educational program.
Oh, yeah.
All
they're
the time.
Fantastic
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah, they are, and they've helped you out. They've helped everybody out in
town. A little
town.
plug for the History Center here in town.
So,
for sure.
So I did a fundraiser with them. I did one for the Winona Advocacy Center when I made a bacon Gouda chive loaf, and that sold out in like 24 hours.
Did you say Gouda chive?
Cheddar's overrated.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah. So like I had to use pre-cooked bacon because I wanted it to be preserved, you know.
Okay.
And do something that would hold longer. But the thing that was original with that is I have an electric cold smoker. So what I would do is after I mixed the dough and shaped it and put it in the proofing baskets, I put it on the smoker for 20 minutes, and it would transfer the flavor over, and then I do a long cold proof.
Cool.
Yeah, so you can only do two at a time, and I cranked out like 13 or 14 of those. It was like I was up till 5 a.m.
Oh, wow.
You know, but we raised $369 in one weekend for the Winona Advocacy Center, which helped pay for, I think it was like close to more than 8 weeks of childcare for people that go in for counseling, you know, services or help.
Cool.
And then I have one coming up for Startup Winona State, which is, you know, helping young entrepreneurs. It's an initiative here on campus with Will Kitchen. Nice. And then in November, I'll be doing something for Habitat for Humanity, probably a pumpkin loaf. Oh, sweet. Ordering is not available yet. I want for their email to go out first. Right. You know what I mean? Right. But on the other weeks, I'm still raising money for the food shelf. Because that's a constant need. So. Oh,
cool. Well, I would just want to let everyone out there know we're talking to Teri Tenseth. The Mother Loaf is her bread baking business.
It's a cause.
It's a cause. Bread baking cause. Yeah. I like that. It's a cause. I like that for sure. So what? You know, you mentioned a couple different flavors. What other flavors have you done? Like, what kind of breads did we get into?
So the Gouda Bacon Chive is definitely one of the favorites. Mm-hmm. There's a tomato, red bell pepper, black olive curry. I blend my own curry. So the curry's very like, pow, in the face. And then I add, it's not an attractive name, this spice, asphotidia, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Sounds delicious.
Would you like some? It's a low FODMAP, which means it doesn't give you GI distress for people that have FODMAP issues. Like a lot of us have sensitivities to garlic and onion. Okay. I'm one of those people. Okay. Like you don't want to be around me for 72 hours afterwards. Right. So this spice is an Indian spice, I believe, and it elicits that flavor profile, but you only use a tiny bit. Like 1/8 of a teaspoon is like 3 garlic cloves. You know what I mean? Like it is potent. So you have to hold yourself back a little bit when you do it. So I'll mix that in there, and that bread is a different entire mixture. Like that's got to sit for 6 hours once you mix it before you even start folding in the other stuff.
Oh, really?
So there's that one has been a big seller. I do a turmeric, fennel, black pepper one.
Nice.
I do cinnamon raisin. Everybody loves that.
Right.
The big one over the summer, which is a limited run due to seasonal ingredients, is I use Honeycrisp apples with rhubarb and brown sugar and another spice blend that I make. And that went off like crazy. And then people are like, why can't you do it? I was like, rhubarb frozen sucks. I'm sorry. But maybe in a different type of baked good, it's okay if you freeze it. But when you're talking sourdough and you're dealing with hydration levels, like the more water you put in, the more challenging it is to mix with the dough.
And that holds a lot of water.
And I'm already adding sugar, so I have to subtract water and kind of like feel it out when you're doing it.
Wow. It sounds like, I mean, you talked about science earlier, but it sounds like not only science, like that it's an art form
it
too.
Is.
You know?
Yeah, it's crazy. And with that, like I food scale everything. Everything I do is food scale. It's not cups or teaspoons. Really, it's cool. unless I'm doing like cinnamon or nutmeg. But I usually do it in grams. Is what I do.
Okay. Huh.
And then I do pan au levain, which is just like traditional sourdough. And then this past week I did purple sweet potato with carrots.
Whoa.
And I had to do 6 test runs of that. I had some flat loaves. I was using different flour combinations, and I said, screw this, I'm doing it my own way, and finally had success. And I had to experiment with different potatoes because there was a store here in town that told me they had purple sweet potatoes, and they were purple in and out, and they weren't. So I had to experiment with those, and then I had to get online to try to order these purple sweet potatoes that grow in Hawaii.
Oh, dang.
And I couldn't find anybody, and then I finally found a guy on Etsy, and he was able to ship them to me within 2 days. It cost a bit, but I definitely made more in the fundraising than what that cost was. And now I'm ordering more so I can plant them.
Dang. So like when you do a test, when you're testing something out like that and kind of working out the kinks and stuff, what do you do with those loaves that didn't quite like make it?
John tastes each one just to see how the flavor profile was until I can work out the problems, know?
Right.
He likes to feed them to the birds, John.
Okay, sure.
He and I grew up in a household where you didn't waste anything. And I'm just like, John, you can throw it out, honey. So I've got like 5 loaves in my freezer right now that he wants to save for the birds. And I'm like, you can let it go.
I understand, though. I think it must be our age group.
It is our age group. Listen, every Sunday we used to go to estate sales, right? To just like kind of canvas things and find secondhand things and get by. Yeah. And maybe that's why I like fundraising, because I understand what it's like to be uncomfortable and not have the things you need or want. Totally. There was a time I lived in New York where I was living off of food carts, and my mother was sending me like food in the mail, like oatmeal squares and stuff like that. Wow. Because it was like eat or pay your phone bill and your rent.
Yep. For sure.
It's an uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
It sucks.
And like you said, I think there is enough. There's no reason for anyone to go hungry. Really, there isn't. We should be able to help each other out.
And we shame people for that. You know what I mean? Well, not all of us. There are people that feel ashamed, and then there's people like, well, get off your butt and do this. But people don't understand everybody's situation. I mean, we're talking there's mental health issues. There's just job availability issues. There's health issues. There's trying to take care of your kids while... What was that? There's trying to take care of your kids during COVID, and you can't go to work.
Right.
You know?
So
like,
what are you supposed to do?
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
And then you have to feed those kids, you know? You're probably going to need some purple sweet potato sourdough.
Sourdough bread, right?
Yeah,
You're going to need the funds from it.
Is that the one? I saw one online that was kind of purple
That
inside.
was it.
That
yeah,
was it?
yeah,
Oh,
was
cool.
it. Yeah,
Cool.
It's like those are so vibrant. You think they're fake,
It looked
but
pretty.
they're no.
Yeah.
They're not. They're
For
just,
some reason,
yeah.
I was thinking it might be strawberry.
Yeah, I could see that. You know, we did food color a loaf when we had
Really?
the regular sweet potatoes. We're like, worst case scenario. You know?
How'd that one work out? Was that for the
horrible.
birds?
Yeah, that's definitely all natural stuff, but yeah, I was like, no. You know, everything tasted good, but I was like, why are these turning out flat? And it's, you know, that was really frustrating until I got it right. So, yeah, some of the sugar content on regular sweet potatoes versus the ones, the purple ones, I'm probably going to mispronounce it. I'm not even going to try. Insult somebody by saying something wrong.
Right.
They have a different sugar type content to them, and they were very wet. So, I mean, like trying to form the dough well felt like a big sloppy mess no matter what I did, you know, and I tried, it was just, it was maddening. Like, and at one point my husband's like, are you going to make it?
Oh, wow.
So fighting words.
So you also said you'll mix a big batch, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you have like a industrial mixer at home?
No,
or how
it's
do you...
me.
Really?
Yeah, so if I make 4 loaves of pan au levain and I'm beating up the dough, 4 is my max in one batch because that dough you actually pick up and slap around. So there's a lot of shoulder rotation happening.
Right.
That's about 10 pounds.
And dough's not light.
No.
You know?
Other ones, you just, you take it and you spread it out and you fold it over or do what we call coil folds where fold it up on top of each other. No big deal.
Right.
The pan, so I can do like 6. 6 is the max that I've really done.
Okay.
And I have huge food grade containers that I'm doing this with. And John will hear me go, oh, it's heavy. And I'm a weightlifter, and I'm like, oh, damn.
Right. Oh, wow.
So, I mean, like, but the pan au levain, I can't go past 4. It just doesn't, and it doesn't mix well by hand either once you get past a certain point.
That's too much to mix by hand.
Like, if you go to Britta's place, she's got an industrial Hobart 30-quart mixer.
Cool.
You know what I mean? Wow. Like, I would die for that, you know?
Right.
We don't have commercial grade wiring.
Right.
And you need to then you're like looking at a business license and all other complicating factors. You know, if somebody has a phase 1 30-quart mixer, hit me up. That means it'll work with traditional wiring.
Hey, you never know.
You know? Like, let me know. It's not that I'm lazy. Nobody is. It's just I only have 2 hands.
But and it's fun to get more gear, right? You know.
Yeah. Oh, John and I love big kitchen equipment because he worked in, he worked in kitchens, and so we all get a little teary-eyed when we see large mixers. For him and I.
For sure. Well, and now, sadly, is probably a good time to pick some of that stuff up.
Even the warehouses for restaurant equipment, places are auctioning off stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so, I mean, that's very telling. When a pizza restaurant, when you see pizza restaurants go under, you're like, how does that happen?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, it's I look for Britta. If she's looking for something, she'll be like, FYI, I'm on the lookout for this. So if you say something, because I'm trolling auction sites for like rolling racks or, things that are completely, that will work in our household.
Yep,
I would love a stainless steel surface too, or a large butcher block or something like that. If it's within driving distance or costs under $100 to ship, then it's something I might consider.
Cool.
Because everybody thinks I got this. I've had people say, I want to come and tour your kitchen. I'd open up my door and be like, here's a Dutch oven. Here's an oven. Here's 2 starters. I'm sure that looks weird. And here's me.
Right.
I'm the mixer.
That's right. There you go. Made by hand.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. There's so much you can do if you just have the motivation and the inspiration,
Yeah.
Really. I mean,
and I've been doing food photography for my, for what I do for a living. I'm a social media manager, but I'm also a content creator and content manager, and I work for a food-related business.
Yeah.
And so I've had to learn how to food fluff, so to speak.
Right? Yeah.
I've had to learn how to plate things. I've had to learn lighting and design for that. Whereas, you and I both come from photojournalistic background.
Backgrounds.
It was a big switch. Not gonna lie.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
to do the advertising.
Yeah, to do product photography is its own beast.
Right.
And then food photography is a whole separate other thing. I mean, usually you have a food stylist. And then they'll position it for you, and then you'll take the shot.
Oh, wow.
But when you're doing it all yourself...
You got to wear all those hats,
right.
don't you?
With bread, it's a lot easier. When I'm doing soup or something, you got to put marbles in the bottom and make the ingredients float up to the top. It's just like...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
Don't eat that, John.
Right. Does that ever happen? Does he come in and take a bite of something? It's like, oh, no.
He usually asks first. We've learned that lesson. He'll be like, are you done with it now? And there's only a shelf life. Like, I might have something that's just been out too long and I've had to reheat it with a heating gun or something like that, and I'll be like, do not eat this. But the other extra, I may go ahead and eat that, because you make backups, you know what I mean? You make backups is what you do. But
funny.
There's a lot of weird things you do to food
I bet.
when you're photographing.
Right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Thankfully not with bread. So yeah, John's very careful, and he asks first, and I'll tell him when I'm done with the food shoot, and he can eat it,
Oh, cool.
if he likes it.
That's
I try not to have personal hang-ups if he doesn't like what I have to cook for work.
So if when you're making bread and you're he's tasting it for the flavor profile and stuff. Does he ever like?
He's a snob.
He'll
let me know.
Really?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
He's a food snob, but I expect him to be.
Cool.
Because he worked in food.
So you get a good, honest opinion.
I do.
And then okay.
I do, because he's always looking at it as client and marketing back. John actually has a business and IT degree.
Cool.
For his bachelor's.
Ooh, good combo.
And then his master's program was environmental health and safety risk control. So,
wow.
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he understands, in having worked in kitchens, he understands what's good and bad. I have a different slight taste profile because of the years of dieting and having to work for a health food company that helps people with diets. I have a different palate built up for what I consider is tolerable.
Right.
Because like once you start having to use alternative ingredients, your profile changes a little bit. So, but I still know what tastes good.
Right.
You know what I mean? And ever since getting out of that mode, like I just need a backup. And then I have the neighbors too. So
cool.
I'll be like, do you want a slice of this? Okay, tell me what you think. So I mean, like, I've got a good pool of people around me.
Your neighbors must love you.
They love me.
You want some of this bread?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Scored a loaf
neighbor,
this weekend.
Yeah, and like my Earl, our neighbor, will be like, hand it over. Okay.
But are they ever knocking on your door? Hey, you got any bread?
No. I just call them. We have a system set up.
Cool.
I call them when it's ready. We meet in the driveway and we do a handoff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's how that works. Now everybody's gonna want to move next door.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Or you're gonna have people just hanging out at the end of your driveway waiting. Like,
yeah.
We're here for the free samples. That's why I go to the grocery store. For the free samples.
And that's not happening now.
That doesn't happen anymore. So I just don't go.
Yeah, they're not even happening at the farmer's market. Right. So I mean, for safety, but it is. There's some stores that are skirting the line in town, but I'm kidding.
Well, it has been awesome to have you back here.
Thanks, yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Teri used to be me.
That's right.
They called me the new Teri for the first year I worked here. Yeah,
the hazing.
They called me the new Teri.
Hazing.
And they're like, it's going to last for 1 year. And sure enough, after a year, they're like, okay, now you can be you.
It's nice to know I was missed.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Oh, man. And I used to work for you as a student.
Yes, you did.
I was a student. Oh,
we had so much fun.
Yeah, so much fun.
Going to places, meeting people, and you guys loved what you were doing as far as I could tell.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's fantastic.
It was you and Lisa Ostrander.
Yep, Lisa Ostrander and Brianna Clapper.
Yep.
Yeah.
Married photographer, artistic person.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Totally.
Yeah.
Good time. Those were good days. Those were good days. Damn you,
Google. We got lost one time. Google really screwed us over trying to get to Mary Solberg's place.
Yeah. Those were fun little trips. I liked doing the video stuff. Like that.
It was.
I don't do it because I'm too old to carry gear around.
Oh,
so.
those cameras are so heavy. Now you can just use a DSLR.
I know.
I still have all the footage backed up on a drive.
Yeah.
So if you want it, come get it.
Oh, that's okay. I don't want to see myself from the past, let alone tomorrow. So. Oh, well, how cool. The Mother Loaf. So you said you do have an upcoming fundraiser, right?
I will just say towards the end of October, watch the website because I'm going to have one for Startup Winona. And Bacon Gouda Chive will be making a reprise.
Ooh, cool. So how do people find out about
the motherloaf.com.
Beyond that? Motherloaf.com?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. I know I saw you on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah, so cool. I love it. And I love all the baking that's happening and I think there's a renewed sense of community and locally produced things, And
I think that people are trying to do things that make themselves feel self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And there was a quote, a friend of mine, Sarah, she's working to become like a firefighter or EMT type person. Nice. Really inspirational. She sent me an article via Instagram from a psychologist or sociologist that said that, in times of panic, we turn to like candle making or bread making or canning because it's something certain and it makes us feel self-fulfilled and independent.
Right.
So like there's a lot of hashtags like pandemic baking or COVID baking or baking therapy, and I think you did see a huge sourdough craze.
Yeah.
And that kind of coincided with the bread shortage. Do you remember when it was hard to buy a loaf of bread? I was like, really? Yeah.
Yeah. Of all the things.
I like the toilet paper thing, that too. And then for a while there, we had a paper towel crisis.
Yeah.
But people like to do things that make them feel like, I can survive this.
Right. And I can take care of myself.
I can take care of myself, right?
Yeah.
And so I look at that as like, I can take care of myself, but I can take care of other people too. I think it's our job to take care of our communities.
Yeah. And each other.
Yeah, if you're able to. Like, if you're tapped out with your kids and everything, I totally get that. Like, I would not want to be a parent right now. And hats off to anybody who is.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how you're doing it.
Yeah.
So I just want to,
home all the time. Oh, boy.
Oh, my gosh.
The Rugrats.
Yeah. So, but if you have the ability to help your community, I really think that's what we're all here to do.
Yeah. I think so, too. Lift each other up.
Yeah. Because there's enough nastiness.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Oh,
2020 has shown that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What a year. What a year.
Yeah,
but yeah, definitely. Do you have, like I said, I don't know much about baking.
Right.
If I want to get into it, where should I start? Like, where can I
honestly,
learn?
YouTube is amazing. Teresa, I think it's Teresa Greenway of Northwest Sourdough. She has a bunch of YouTube classes on there on how to start your own starter.
Okay.
I think she even has a PDF you can download for free.
Ooh, cool.
I've been using Udemy for a lot of things.
Okay.
Like they have $10 classes, and she's on Udemy as well too.
Okay.
Instagram's been really helpful too. Like you can reach out to some of your favorite bakers and be like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of a tight knit community, or just ask a question in their comments and see if they respond. There's also it was called Blueprint, but it's going back to I think Craftsy or something like that. I have a class that I keep going back to on there, a video on demand class that I keep listening because it has like an online forum too where you can message the professor and he'll come back and answer you and be like, hey, this didn't turn out this way. What's your idea? You know what I mean?
Nice.
He'll be like, did you check the dough temperature all the time? Oh, no, I didn't do that. So because sourdough is one of those things that people will get frustrated with. Like, what did I do wrong? I don't know. Have you ever watched The Try Guys?
No.
Oh my gosh, you would love The Try Guys. Like there's an episode where they try to make their own sourdough and they're just ripping their hair out about it,
Oh wow.
But there's even like Facebook support groups for
for sourdough.
bakers.
Oh wow.
Like Perfect Sourdough is one of them. But the online sources and YouTube classes I've really found helpful. And then, Brita. Like, we bounced ideas back and forth.
Cool.
Constantly.
Excellent.
Like, have you tried this? I'm going to try this fermentation method. You know, like, what do you think I'm doing wrong? You know, like.
Yeah. So even just go and ask a baker you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Sourdough's different. Not every baker does it, you know.
Right.
So, I mean, find somebody who does, you know.
Nice.
And
Very
people are
nice.
pretty open about talking about food.
Yeah. Or trying it out. You know, like if you want to get in good with your neighbors, start baking bread.
I did have one neighbor who was like, no. Like,
really?
I was going by through the neighborhood and like delivering loaves, and I think they were probably gluten intolerant or something like that.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most people that are gluten intolerant can handle sourdough because of the fermentation process. What happens in the proofing kind of mitigates that.
Okay.
I
didn't know that.
Yeah. So
Nice.
a lot of people that are sensitive can handle it. If you're full blown celiac, though, I wouldn't suggest it. Yeah.
Right,
you get more nutrients from sourdough because it allows you to do that. I actually wrote a little thing up, okay? So basically, you get increased flavor from natural fermentation, which is the natural yeast. The body absorbs more nutrients from sourdough due to lactic acid. Okay, so that lactic acid will neutralize the level of what they call phthalates, and I hope I am not murdering that. Phthalates bond to minerals, making nutrients hard to absorb. Sourdough mitigates that.
Okay.
So you're going to get more calcium, magnesium, and iron from your sourdough.
Nice.
You know, so like did a little research ahead of time.
Tasty and healthy.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Very cool. Oh, well, boy.
I know, it's a lot of information.
It's too bad we can't. It's too bad that there's not a lot of in-person fundraising going on, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, I want to go and just taste a bunch of different breads. You know. Like,
yeah, I know. I wish I could do that. You know,
that'd be super cool.
At some point, I might be like, once things calm down, doing the Goodview Market or something like that. Like, I want Britta to have the Winona Farmers Market, and she's like, "Why don't you take the Goodview one?"
Oh, cool.
You know, since you can register with the state of Minnesota and do that whole thing. Yeah, you know, but right now, I feel like we're two women supporting each other, and we still would be doing with that. I go in there and I help her out, and I learn a lot, and we have a great friendship, you know?
That is awesome.
So, thanks.
Cool. Bake bread, make friends, eat.
Yes, and if you can't get a loaf from me, because I'm doing this thing, get one from her.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. Awesome. Well, Teri, it was fantastic to see you today and talk on the air. Oh, my God. I love this.
Yeah, I do too.
Teri Tenseth, former KQAL
person.
Sorcerer extraordinaire. You know, like audio sorcerer, right? Or sorceress, whatever you prefer.
Of the microphone.
You know? So
you missed the voice. Oh, God.
That's right.
Insanity.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. We're talking about the Mother Loaf. Go to themotherloaf.com for more information on Teri and her bread. And for a good cause, need to feed. Love it. Winona Volunteer Services supporting that. Teri, you do a great job. Thank you so much for coming in.
Appreciate
and it was a pleasure seeing you.
Same to here.
Thanks again to Teri Tenseth for joining us today on Culture Clique. More information on The Mother Loaf can be found at themotherloaf.com. To keep up on all things Winona and the surrounding area, tune into Culture Clique Thursdays at 12:30 right here on 89.5 KQAL. I'm Bill Stoneberg, and we've just heard from Teri Tenseth on Culture Clique.
Creating cultural awareness and understanding. You've been listening to Culture Clique. Support for Culture Clique is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Culture Clique is produced by KQAL FM on the campus of Winona State University. For more information, look us up on the web at kqal.org. And thanks for listening to Culture Clique.